I love my nose. I mean, I really love my nose. Of our five senses, smell is my favorite. Why? Because it led me to be attracted to my husband, led me to my scientific curiosity, led me to my career, and makes my life delicious and joyful. I love the wonderfully sweet and floral scent of stargazer lilies. And I love the smell of skunk. We'll get to that. I'll be telling you how smell quietly shapes your life, because I want you to know how to make the most sense of it. Incidentally, you're a great smelling group. I think somebody over on the left is wearing Chanel No. 5. I'm kidding. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I cherish my sense of smell, so imagine how surprised I was to learn that a group of psychology undergrads ranked their sense of smell to be as unimportant as their little toe. I couldn't believe it. This same kind of thinking is why insurance companies say that losing smell is worth only 1% to 5% of the value of your life. Vision gets 85%. Like most people, you may be taking your sense of smell for granted and might not yet realize how intrinsic it is to everything you experience. But by the time I'm done, I hope you will cherish your sense of smell as well. It could just save your life. Let me share a few surprising facts and stories. First of all, smell is flavor. The taste buds on your tongue can detect only 4 basic sensations: salty, sour, sweet, and bitter. Everything else is smell. And when we talk about taste, we almost always really mean flavor, which is all due to your nose. Let me give you a way that you can prove this to yourself. Take a jelly bean, pinch your nostrils shut, put the jelly bean in your mouth, and start to chew. All you'll taste is sweet. Now, release your nostrils, and suddenly it becomes lime, licorice, cherry, or whatever Bertie Bott's has to offer. It's an amazing aha moment when you discover that flavor is due to aroma, and taste is only salty, sour, sweet, and bitter. Also, when you release your nostrils, that jelly bean will taste even sweeter, because smell synergizes with taste and makes it more intense. This is why when you have a cold, food doesn't seem to taste right. When your nose is blocked, air can't get from your mouth to your nose, and you can't get the flavor or intensity of food. And the flavor of food is key to food pleasure. In a legal case, I testified for Stan, who was totally despondent after he lost his sense of smell in a car accident and realized that he could never experience the joy of a char-grilled steak or bacon or pecan pie ever again. His despair was compounded by the fact that his food choices now focused on the things he could still get some pleasure from, those filled with salt and sugar, and he had gained over 100 pounds. Stan is depressed, and like many people who lose their sense of smell, his emotional state is getting worse with time. People who are blinded by an accident are initially much more traumatized by their loss of vision than people who lose smell in an accident. But after a year, blind people are typically faring better than people who've lost their ability to smell, who instead have become increasingly depressed. Our sense of smell is fundamentally tied to our quality of life. Smell is also connected to your appetite. Obese people are often less sensitive to smells than people who are thin, and losing weight can rekindle a person's sense of smell. Let me tell you about Derek. Derek had bariatric surgery and lost 75 pounds in a year. At the same time, he noticed that his sense of smell had gotten much more acute. The surgery reset the connections between Derek's brain and stomach so that it could respond better to appetite signals and increased his sense of smell. Some of you are probably thinking, I don't want to have surgery to improve my sense of smell or lose weight. Well, I have some good news for you. You can use diet aromatherapy to do both. To help curb unwanted cravings with 0 added calories, you can sniff some oranges when you're craving brownies, and this may entice you to eat a low-calorie fruit snack instead, or remind you of healthier eating intentions. Alternatively, you can sniff a favorite non-food scent, like suntan lotion, to distract you, or remind you of something completely different, like your favorite summer beach spot. So you can use smell to do all kinds of things to distract you. And smell, in addition to giving you the flavor of life, also gives you the emotion of life. Our sense of smell is the only sense directly hardwired to the emotional center of your brain. None of our other senses are. And my research has shown that smells evoke our most emotional memories. This is because of the uniquely intimate connection between smell processing and the amygdala, which activates emotion and emotional memories. In evolutionary terms, the amygdala and related structures arose from brain tissue that was originally dedicated to perceiving chemicals, that is, smells. So in other words, we might not experience emotion if we didn't have a sense of smell. Remember I said I love the smell of skunk? This is because it brings back a wonderful memory of when I was about 4 years old, riding in the car on a beautiful summer day. A scent I didn't recognize wafted by, and from the front seat, my dear mama exclaimed that she loved that smell. I love the smell of skunk because my first association was so positive. I discovered a few years later that admitting that to a bunch of 7-year-olds isn't going to win you any friends. So our memories are tied to our experiences of emotions, and that's how we learn about smells. And every scent can tell a story. All of us have a special scent that brings back a personal memory to us. Think back to it. What is it and why? Is it the perfume of a loved one? A certain flower? Maybe an animal? Can you feel the emotion now? But there's also a downside to the intensely emotional memories that scents can evoke. Smells can be the worst triggers for PTSD. Take Wendy. Wendy is a combat veteran. Sadly, for combat veterans and rescue workers, after a fire-related human tragedy, they can experience what is sometimes called the barbecue effect. The scent reminds Wendy of her time in Afghanistan and loss of life to fire, and it makes summer cookouts impossible for her. On a much more positive note, smell is sex, especially for women. My research has shown that women rank how a man smells as the most important physical feature for attraction and more important than any characteristic after being a nice guy. I've had women tell me that they knew they were going to marry their husband the minute they first smelled him. I'm actually one of them. Anyone else out there? Yep, we got married in Vegas. But it gets even better. There is a basic and direct biological connection between your immune system, your body odor, your sense of smell, and finding the best mate for fertility and child health. This is because your body odor is the external representation of the genes of your immune system. And everybody has a unique body odor. It's as unique as your fingerprint. Everyone in this audience smells different. That's how the tracking dog finds you and not your neighbor. Women are most attracted to the body odor of men who have immune systems that are genetically complementary with their own. And every woman will find a different set of men most scrumptious smelling due to her unique immune system, and men who have immune systems that are best matches for creating children who will be resistant to diseases and most healthy overall. There's no Brad Pitt of body odor. In addition, a woman's sense of smell is at its peak during the few days each month when she's fertile and ovulating. So when finding a mate, Mother Nature directs women to follow their noses. But beware our modern world. This is not true for women who are on hormonal contraception, and artificial fragrances can mask a man's true scent. In other words, Old Spice and some birth control methods can hide or mix up scent signals and steer women to be attracted to genetically incompatible men. I'm glad you think that's funny. This can then either lead to having problems getting pregnant or potentially producing babies who are less healthy than they could have been. Smell can even affect how long you'll live. Until middle age, your sense of smell regenerates itself about every 28 days. That is, every month you get a new nose full of olfactory neurons. But like your vision and hearing, your sense of smell eventually starts to decline. This is because olfactory neurons die off and don't get replaced. Now, I need to tell you a secret about your sense of smell and longevity. People over the age of 57 with a weak sense of smell were found to be 4 times more likely to die within a 5-year period than people with a good sense of smell. This means you'll live longer if you have a good sense of smell. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if it's bad, you might be in trouble. One reason why a poor sense of smell is linked to an earlier death is because without your nose, you're less likely to be able to detect environmental dangers, such as smoke, food spoilage, and dangerous chemicals. But a poor sense of smell could also be a harbinger of general brain health. A loss of smell is actually the first warning sign of progressive neurological diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Therefore, an early sign of neurodegeneration could be the inability to detect familiar odors. But there's also a paradoxical flip side to the connection between smell and brain health. I spoke with Larry, whose 75-year-old dad lives alone and was acting more and more peculiar. Larry was worried that his dad might be developing dementia. When Larry took his dad to see a neurologist, luckily no dementia was detected. And fortunately, his sense of smell was also tested, and it was found to be very poor. It turned out that the reason why Larry's dad was acting like he had dementia was because he wasn't eating properly, since he didn't have any aromatic cues to remind himself to make a good meal instead of just eating crackers. Larry's dad was malnourished. Thankfully, after this was discovered, he started eating better and acting like his old self again. How can you tell if you have a weak sense of smell? Sniff some peanut butter or other familiar foods without looking at what they are and see if you can identify them. Can we fix someone's poor sense of smell? Unfortunately, up to now, there hasn't been enough medical interest to create the equivalent of a hearing aid for your nose, though theoretically there are ways it could be done. For now, if you have a very weak sense of smell, you'll just have to create an environment to help keep yourself healthy. For example, make sure to use auditory alarms. Avoid spoiled food by paying extra attention to how it looks. If something tastes very bitter, spit it out. Eat nutritiously and don't miss meals. If you have a good sense of smell, you want to protect it. Avoid being in very polluted places if you can, or breathing in toxins that damage olfactory neurons. This even includes everyday items like some cleaning products, hairdressing, and nail salon chemicals. If you work with these chemicals, consider wearing a mask. If you're a smoker, quit smoking. No matter your age, you can do things to improve your smellability and increase your awareness of the amazing scent-filled world around you. First, exercise your nose. When you actively sniff, all scents become more intense. Active sniffing has even been found to restore lost olfactory neurons. Second, look around you when you smell something and discover what it's connected to. The more you know about scents, the better you can smell them. This is what happened to me when I started doing research on odors in graduate school and learned what each one was. So instead of photographing your food before you eat it, smell it. Please. Third, use aromas to enrich your life. One easy way is to create special scent memories for yourself and with your friends, family, and loved ones. For example, take a new fragrance on a special trip, and then when you really want to remember that trip, sniff. A scent is worth 1,000 pictures. Whatever you do, take the time to smell and stop and smell the roses or the skunks. And please, be smarter than those undergrads and love your nose more than your little toe.